All right, we're live, and welcome to episode 3 of Cars and Popcorn, the show where you come in and we talk about the cars and vehicles from various movies and TV shows that you love. Today, we are talking about Supernatural, and let me introduce my guests right out to it. They are the hosts of Oddshaped Panel, and owners of Oddshaped Channel, have many other cool shows on there. It's Tom Bennis and Kimber Barrett. How you doing, guys?
Hey, how's it going? Good.
Good.
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. And today we are, of course, talking about Supernatural, which you guys are either big fans of or really great at pretending to be fans. So why don't you take a moment to tell us why you chose Supernatural today?
Do you want to?
Supernatural is a great show. When I think of shows that feature cars, it certainly comes to mind because of the iconic car Baby, which is basically the third main character of the show. And also, Tom and I kind of bonded over Supernatural very early in our relationship, so it holds for sure. And it's nice to have an excuse to talk about it from the perspective of somebody who just really loves cars and doesn't know that much about the show.
Exactly, and that's what I find really interesting about doing this is when people suggest things, it's not always something that I'd seen or really you expect to be kind of like the car guy stuff. I mean, obviously we started out with like Bullet and James Bond, but now we're getting into like the more intimate style shows, maybe more about one or two cars. And I asked this of all my guests, and I know this is kind of a moot point at this point, but favorite car of the show, I have to ask.
Baby.
Yeah, it makes all other cars inferior.
Ouch! I take that a little personally.
The show. I'm not.
Fair
I'm
enough.
not. I'm not attacking your. I'm not attacking your car.
All right, and for those who don't normally watch the show, Baby is a 1967 Chevy Impala, which, as we hear described several times, is the 327 with the four-barrel carburetor, which is not actually the highest trim package. But if you guys allow me to go on a, bit of a tangent here for a moment, I'm going to talk about why I think Baby is kind of indicative of car culture, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All you.
So we just to be forward here, the list that Tom and Kimber gave me, they gave me a list of a few episodes to watch, and I watched one more to kind of highlight Baby. So to throw it out there, their choices were the pilot, the season 4 episode In the Beginning, season 5 episodes Changing Channels, and Swan Song. I went on and watched an episode called My Heart Will Go On from season 6, season 11 episode Baby, and season 12 Keep Calm and Carry On. Now in season 4, that's when we kind of see the beginnings of the Impala, and of course we'll talk about that a little bit more. But the fact that they went and talked about it as not being the highest trim package and it just being a fairly standard Chevy Impala, in the future, that is why car culture can be so great. Because it's not by any means a special or limited edition car, but it's something that they loved and it was passed down through their families. I didn't pull up a picture, but just to tell a short story, I used to work for FCA. I can currently work for GM, but so there's a lot of car fans around, a lot of nice cars in parking lots. And one day I walked past a Geo Tracker that was perfectly kept in Michigan, which is really hard to do. And it's the kind of thing that makes you stop and say, that car was loved. And since, to me, because Baby is not exactly, it's not the most desirable model of Impala, but if you go and see a 1967 Impala that somehow still looks that good, you know that that person absolutely adored that car and they took the time to take care of it. If anything happened to it, they'll fix it and restore it back. And that to me is what makes car culture great. It's not just having a nice car. It's just caring for it over the years.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
And
that. I love that sentiment. And I like they went as far as to like Dean ends up rebuilding the car when it gets destroyed, but he leaves all these little tokens that have been are there because it is so sentimental to him. Love it like it's a person almost, and he's taken great care of it.
And I mean, when you look at Sam and Dean's life, the one constant thing they have is baby. Fact for you. The car they actually use on the show has a 427 engine with skid plates, but they still chose to make it a 327 in the show.
that's interesting. That kind of explains all the engine noises and burnouts and donuts they're able to do, considering the actual baby doesn't have all that much power.
Yeah, they even I was reading somewhere that halfway through the seasons they had to change the actual engine sounds for the proper car because people were complaining about it. Like car buffs were complaining like a 67 would not sound like that. So they had to record audio from a 327 and play it over the.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Not gonna lie, I did kind of notice that when in some of the episodes.
There you go.
Look at that. Little things about cars.
So let me go to share a little picture here of the season 4 episode 3, I think it was, when we took a look at kind of the origin story of Baby, where we're not going to get into the whole causality loop thing going on here, where the Star Trek time police would get real pissed at him. But you'll see here.
Oh, there's the van right there.
This is when Dean meets his dad and convinces him to not buy a VW bus, but instead chooses that little Impala in the corner.
I love it.
Yeah, and for the it's funny because this was definitely like a Back to the Future episode. Definitely got that right off the bat when they like come in and they're like Winchester, but they flip the script and it's not like a bully, it's like a cop. And
yes,
yeah, but it's funny because Castiel, who's an angel who put him here back in time, and for anyone who doesn't watch the show, I know all right off the bat, oh, there's an angel in the show, yes. He doesn't tell him why he's back there, so when he sees his dad about to make this horrible mistake, it almost feels like, oh, Cass sent me back in time to fix this one thing,
Yeah.
to make sure he gets the car.
Oh man, how different would that show be if they were just driving around? I think it was like a 64 or 68 microbus. How different would that show be?
It'd be Scooby-Doo, and it would be very awkward during the crossover.
I think Dean would be such a different person because like so much of Dean's identity and his personality is I don't want to say driven, but driven by the fact that he was raised in this car, and it's like his dad is a huge part of the car as well, and I think that that's why he's attached to it, especially later on in the show after John is gone, because it's an heirloom car like you were talking about. So much of it is Dean and that car and those tapes. It would be a different show completely without that car.
There's a really powerful scene, and it picks up season 2 because at the end of season 1, spoilers for anyone, we've gone all season 1 with Baby. We've seen all the like bruises it's gotten along the, I guess not dents it's gotten along the way. It's hit by a tractor trailer. It's demolished. And so all through season 2, Dean is fixing up this car, and when he has it in pristine condition, that he starts beating on his own car, and then he has to fix it again. But it's because of Sam's like that. I don't know how I would feel in that situation. It's a lot, but it's just the like blood and tears that have gone through keeping this car in this condition.
You say because of Sam, and I'll jump to that in just a second here. After I mentioned, after the picture I showed, the weirdness of that dealer in the beginning. That Impala cost $2,204, and the VW cost $1,860. What kind of dealership charges those odd numbers?
Yeah.
Ones that want to make you think you're getting a deal. Like the shady, like, come down, we'll get anyone's credit.
Used car
It's full.
dealership too, right?
Yeah, because like I've
It's full of
gone to
good.
dealerships like that, and not like professional dealerships, but a guy who has like those flags hanging in the yard and weird prices.
But
This is
just
back
jump.
in the day too.
So I guess we're gonna jump right into the baby because I think that's a good transition point where Sam, when they pull up to the steakhouse and he encourages Dean to give the car to the valet. Don't do that. That's no. Dean was right.
I was a
Never
valet.
give
I
your
knew you don't do that.
I never give my car to a valet. Only time I've ever used a valet was in LA when I had a rental because I had a rental. But come on. And for that reason, I pulled up another little picture here. Computer's going crazy. So the valet basically takes it and goes on a joyride a la Ferris Bueller, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I don't trust valets. Here they are doing a donut in Dean's beloved car. And he told Sam, I don't want to do this. I don't want to give this to a valet. And there was plenty of parking in that parking lot. There was no need for that valet.
Is it fair to say that you see a little bit of yourself in Dean Winchester?
I think it was especially that episode where I kind of saw myself in him and related because they go through a lot of car guy tropes there. And my favorite one was very subtle actually. He starts out just washing the car and then they cut to a scene of them driving and it's raining. He just looks over and shakes his head and says, "Of course. We've all done that. We've all washed our cars."
We really loved your picture that you posted of you washing your car, saying that there was no better way to like get ready for the episode because like Tom looks at that and he goes, "This guy gets it." And like the sentiment of like where Dean is coming from and like the right type of mindset that for baby, you know?
And they established this like from the pilot because the car gets possessed by a ghost, and Dean looks at the car and he's like, "You leave her out of this. She has nothing to do with it." Like he is so protective of that car. It's like their girlfriends come and go in that show because they just have such an like.
Yeah, if you sleep with Sam, you die. It's
pretty much, yeah. I'm scared about that waitress that you saw that never found out, but I'm sure she's dead in a ditch somewhere.
But yeah, like you said, that car is the constant. And what Jensen in real life?
Oh God! So I guess his stunt driver's name is Tom. To do this one stunt with Baby, and he ditched it. And Jensen got so mad that Tom's not allowed to drive the car anymore, and Jensen does all the car stunts from now on.
That's awesome.
Well, not all the stunts.
What was that?
That's awesome. I didn't know that. It kind of makes me relate to the character a little bit more, knowing that he does the driving stunts.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll probably want to take one of those cars when the show wraps up at the end, I would imagine.
And yeah, well, and then the actors are like, they've grown to have such a relationship with this car now too. There's you should look it up sometime, video of Dean doing Eye of the Tiger with the Impala. And he's just dancing on the Impala. And that's one of the other things about the show is the music fits so well with that style of car. I think it's just like a perfect marriage.
Keep
the
calm and
host
carry
Tom
on.
was telling us date his tapes that he was down with the soundtrack for that. I liked that too.
Dude,
exactly. He doesn't need to change.
What's the song? Night Moves?
Night Moves.
And Baby.
Night Moves. Don't Night Moves me.
That was great. Or else with that, but I lost track.
I lost track of what episode we were on. I don't remember what the Night Moves was from.
That was Baby, because that's when Dean or Sam gets laid in the back seat. which the back seat comes back later in an episode
With
which
Mary,
is
that's my
hilarious.
favorite moment with Baby when
That's what I said earlier.
yeah, when Mary comes back and she's like, "Oh, you still have it," and she's checking out the car, and then Dean is watching her like, "Oh, that's cute," and then she stares at the back seat
And like
and gets this like a sexy look, and he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird moment. He knew that one.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense that he was conceived in that car because, like,
Again, yeah, so deep in his personality. This car is just like a part of him.
and Night Moves was probably playing in the background, like Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, I would think.
I mean, that's just commentary. That's kind of pressure to keep up with the song, though.
You know what's funny? I have always wanted to take the first like 5 minutes of drive the baseball game while he's driving, and put Meatloaf's that section of Paradise by the Dashboard Light where it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't need to go further. The audience knows what I'm talking about.
All right, so looks like in the chat we've got Billy jumping in for trivia. So looks like he's going to try and beat his own high score.
Ooh.
Bring it on, Billy. Yes, come on.
All right.
No business being here.
Yeah, we also want to say that Dean Winchester is the real Baby Driver.
Yes, I will say confidently in this episode that Supernatural is way more of a car show / movie than Baby Driver.
Yes, sir.
Baby Driver is it's a solid heist movie, but don't get it confused. It's not a car movie.
I mean, the first act is a solid heist movie.
Baby Driver, but I'm gonna fully agree with what you said and say Supernatural definitely had the heart of like you said, car culture.
Yeah, there's no connection in Baby Driver. He's just driving around doing cool car stunts, but they do that in Supernatural.
That one chase scene. I really wanted to see more of that. Like when he Jackie Chan'd the strip into the police cars. Hoping he would do more of that stuff, but getting off topic. Baby Driver.
Yes, we are. Let's see. Next jump point. I don't think we've talked much about Swan Song yet, so let's see what you guys.
Seeing that assembly line.
Yes, the assembly line. That was nice. I mean, I've been to several assembly plants. It was kind of cool to see kind of like an old school one, and it was neat just hearing someone tell the story of this car again. It seems to happen a lot in this show.
Yeah, I like that they even went as far as to like tell you what the car was doing before it got to the family that we know.
It was on a farm.
Yeah.
Then it got sold to that dealership.
Yeah. Cool.
They kind of went over that Legos thing, how they wrecked it in the past.
Yep, and the army men in the dash. It was really cool. We I know you saw the pictures and stuff when we were talking about it, but we got to go into Baby and take pictures when we went to Wizard World Philadelphia.
Thanks, Raul.
Yeah, thank you, Raul. We love you, Raul. But they actually had like all the little details that they talk about. You could see the little army man and the Legos in the car and like
initials carved in.
It was beautiful, like to just be there noticing every single little detail in this car. And I think you wrote us like, how was that sweet leather or something on the interior, and it was gorgeous. Car reeked of all the history and wonderment that they have in the show about this car. And
here's the picture for anyone that has not seen it. I'm going to keep talking so that it holds here for a moment. But yeah, that's one of those things where actually I'm going to jump right into this. I was going to save this for later in the show, but so later this year I was thinking about going to Comic-Con Chicago, and Baby's going to be there. So my question to you guys, and I'll let you go on your little tangent here. Convince me to pay the money to sit in Baby.
Go ahead.
I'm sure you're going to have other choices there. You're probably going to have the Echo mobile from like Ghostbusters, if I'm messing that up. And like, the Dukes of Hazzard car. But I feel like, and this car means something to you. I mean, it happened so quick, it was kind of surreal, but when you go back and you think about it, you almost insert yourself into all those moments. You could feel yourself in the episode Baby, you know what I mean? And like, it feels like the car, like it just feels like you're part of something important, like a bigger family. And that's, from all the Supernatural fans that I've met, that's what it feels like. Family.
Yeah, I just want to say that you should take a picture with Baby, because when you take a picture with Baby, you're not taking a picture of a car. You're taking a picture of your favorite character from Supernatural part about this car, and that's what makes it so special.
She said that.
That's a good one, because I mean, Baby is a great character, but because of the connection, I would actually say Dean would be my favorite character in that show.
Nice. Yeah, we both love Dean a little bit more than Sam, for sure.
Yeah, Sam's a jerk. He made him use a valet and tried to steal his music. Come on.
He's still on the valet.
There's an episode where Sam has the car for a while, and Dean comes back in the car, and there's an MP3 player in it, and Dean's like, "What the hell is this?" Like, he's so mad. But back on the Swan song, we were talking about all those little things, and it's like, that's what we were talking about, like, you know, growing up with a car and maybe not necessarily taking care of it in that aspect because they kind of ripped it apart on the inside. Forging these memories, you know, an effect in the, I mean, it was kind of a Deus
Ex
Machina, because it's like, yeah, okay, Sam has the time to do something. I was like, I didn't see that coming, and for him to roll up, read that was such a cool scene. And he's literally driving the car to see the devil, and that's as metal as you can get.
Yeah, that car has seen things.
It's seen things, and weird things that it has seen. I think that's a good time to transition to our next episode, Changing Channels, where some weird things happen. They go to many different timelines. This was actually one of my favorite episodes you guys had me watch, where Sam becomes basically the baby Kit hybrid.
The Sam Paula, they call it.
There's one sentence that really stuck out to me, where someone asked them I forget the character, where they got the baby oil or the holy oil. That was weird. And Dean's answer was, "We pulled it out of Sam's ass." That raises some very uncomfortable points about Sam voicing baby at that moment.
Well, I mean, I think that's Dean's like lady, you know what I mean? And for its voice to be Sam,
yeah, it's weird. It's got to be
like
weird,
he got catfished. Like, it's like brother, which makes it weird. But I mean, so that must have been weird also. Especially when Sam's like, "You're inside me."
You're just gonna get that. Some fans are into that.
Yeah,
hashtag Wincest. But
well then, I did not know that was a hashtag, and I don't feel like exploring that.
Destiel too. That's the Castiel and Dean shippers. It's a thing.
There's an episode where they find out they're shippers for them because there's like a whole meta aspect to the show.
Dean is always so offended. Yeah.
And Sam's like, what would mean Cass is? Like, Sassiel? Like, and he's just sitting there. Dean's like, shut up. Like, it's the show it also is a commentary on itself. And if you saw
my favorite episode of all time.
An amazing job.
Yeah, in the French Mistake, they basically like go to another alternate universe, and they are Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, and they're on a show called Supernatural, and like it's like they're trying to be actors on this show, and it's like makes comments about like having more money, and of course Jared is like married to an actress who played a villain on the show. It was just really funny the way they do stuff like this.
But my favorite moment is when Dean goes and gets into Baby, car, and it doesn't move, and he's like, there's nothing real. Like, he's just like getting so mad.
Actually, my favorite moment of that was a similar part of that episode where they first walk out and he sees the Impala, and I don't believe the line was, well, at least my baby made it. And he looks over, someone's throwing mud on it, and he sees just a line of Impalas, one completely wrecked, just turns around and says, I feel sick.
I shout out to Misha on that episode, the actor who plays Cass, with his texting and stuff. He's hysterical. But yeah,
Twitter that.
Did we hit all the episodes that you watched? What about your Titanic one?
Yes, the episode season 16, I think. My Heart Will Go On, where they go into an alternate universe where the Titanic doesn't sink, and the most interesting part to me pull up the picture, was that they no longer, in that timeline, I don't know why this changed, but they no longer have the Impala. They have the Mustang. And I actually dug up some interesting notes about that one. You can see it right here. I'll keep talking so that it holds up for a while. And I have a second picture here. Maybe I don't. There we go. You'll notice over here that is actually a Shelby Cobra logo. And that indicates that back then the only Shelby that was available was the GT500. So they actually end up in a really, really good car in this episode. It's interesting to me, and I'll actually ask you two, how do you think this show would be different if he has this really nice Shelby Cobra rather than the 67 Impala?
I don't know. There's something about like how, like, I don't know if car manufacturers think about the car they're when they're naming them, like if they're like, oh, we want this to be called this because that's what it symbolizes or whatever. But I like that the Impala is the Impala, because when I think about the animal, I always think of them running to the next thing, which is exactly what that show is. It's them driving to the next case, the next case. And Cobra, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I feel like if it was the car from the pilot, I wouldn't have anything to base my.
I'm gonna echo the sentiment that Tom Z had earlier and say that I kind of like the charm of it not being a super good or like really expensive car, because it's not about that. It's about the history of the car. So I kind of dig that it's not like a extremely, sought after or like in any way extravagant car. It's just a nice old car that his dad got when he was young. But I think he would still be Dean. Like, that's still like a muscle car, and I can still see him listening to his tunes in that vehicle.
I assume his parents still got it on in the back of that car, and he was still.
Yeah, there's something about Baby, like you said, being kind of not the best car ever that makes it so special.
And yeah, that's the other thing. I can actually answer your question there, Tom. These days, it's mostly names are basically just kind of obligatory to current models or older vehicles, or in like the Chevy Bolt's case, because it's an electric car, Bolt makes it sound cool and electronic. But back in the day, I don't know any stories behind Impala, but something like the Mustang, it was the first pony car. It was just meant to kind of go fast, be exciting, thrilling, kind of like riding a horse. Therefore, Mustang.
Did they use the term horsepower before that?
Yes, the horsepower was.
So. That's like
horsepower was a thing.
I don't know. That's why I'm here.
It is actually a unit of energy. Is it energy? It's a unit of power. It's a unit of power. Some actually other countries use different units other than horsepower. Horsepower is actually really kind of a pain to convert. As far as an energy unit, I've had to do conversions a few times back in college. It's not that fun and not very practical, but it sounds cool because horsepower.
I just can see like the like Mustang being married to like. Well, I guess you see that in their ads. It's like just horsepower is just like implied.
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
What I mean, like they did a good job doing that. I guess I don't know, man. I'm here about the supernatural, not Mustang.
Yeah, but Mustang was a part of Supernatural, and that's
I did like that you had such a close up to the license plate. It's cool because
same,
as it
yeah.
goes, it is the same number that their regular license plate would have been, but all the license plates are Easter eggs, and the one that he showed was Kansas 2005, and that's when they changed it over. Was I think 2005, and then they kept it until 2007, 2010. I could be wrong.
Nice.
Anyway, to echo your guys' sentiment, that's actually why I looked up that episode and found it and decided to watch it, because it kind of mirrors the Gone in 60 Seconds remake from the first one, where Eleanor went from a regular Mustang to a GT 500. Now in that the character development was similar, but to me, what makes this show kind of a car show is the fact that Dean is, like we've echoed many times, in love with this fairly normal but still good old car. If it was a GT 500, it kind of loses a bit of that luster and becomes a little more about the car itself rather than the bond of the man in his car.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we see Dean steal cars all the time. He could be stealing better cars, but he doesn't. He steals either cars that are iconic and he just wants to drive.
Yeah, he loves his dad's car.
But he goes back to his car all the time.
And just a comment, them in the back of the Mustang, that's going to be a lot more difficult than the back of the Impala.
Yeah, right.
I promise you that one.
Yeah, especially because the top of the trunk is a devil's trap, and that's used to keep demons in bay. And I don't think you can fit the demon in the Mustang too well, especially if you have all those guns and grenade launchers.
Yeah,
back there.
you need trunk space on a car if you're a hunter for sure, and that car seems to have plenty of trunk space.
Which, if John was a hunter going in, I could see the appeal of the van.
Right, that too.
Yeah, but then again, he's not exactly getting from place to place very quickly. He's not getting away. He's probably going to break down a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I'm just excited for the Scooby-Doo crossover.
Yeah, that's really
happening. I want to see Dean behind the mystery machine. I want to see him drive it. Or Fred drive it.
Raul is asking, did you already talk about the cars of Four Horsemen in season 5?
No, we didn't.
Raul made it. Hi, Raul.
He's because they do an interesting thing. They address the Four Horsemen, and the one horseman rode in on a red horse, so it was like a classic red muscle car. They drove in on, and then like the Pestilence was driving this like this horrible exhaust, like crappy car. Like it was really cool how the cars reflected the characteristics of the horsemen.
Yeah, I think Death rides a pale horse. Did he have a?
I think he drove around in like a. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember him just. I remember him getting out of a car.
The red car the most stands out.
Yeah, that was War, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, they changed the horses into cars.
Death is in a Rolls Royce. Okay, I can see that. I'm gonna look that up. I'll let Tom and Kimber go.
It's also cool too. You got to see the base of the Men of Letters, and you saw some of. I think maybe you saw one or two cars that they have in the garage there that Baby's in. But they have a lot of cool classic cars in that. Like I think the Wizard of Oz episode, you can see more of the cars.
Yeah.
There's a bunch, and Felicia Day's in that episode, so that doesn't hurt.
No, that does not hurt.
She's great in the series. She plays a girl named Charlie. She's awesome. She gets Dean to LARP.
Yeah, she's a lesbian LARPer, and I love her.
Hacker.
She's awesome.
Season 7, that's a Leviathan season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Google is not helping me out. I thought you guys could buy me some time, but I cannot find the Rolls Royce from that episode.
Weird. A gold Rolls Royce, he says.
I guess so. It's like a gold.
I could definitely see Death driving something like that. That's
could see if I
It's
can.
very over the top.
Yeah, I don't even remember if he was driving though. I feel like he just got out of the back, so I wonder if a Reaper was driving or something.
I'm glad
Now
that
we've gone to the Google. Now we've gone to the Googling portion of the show.
it happens.
Okay, I found the cars. Death has a Cadillac.
Oh, a Cadillac.
That's a Rolls Royce Cadillac. I don't know.
No, they're different.
Okay,
Very different.
so War has a Mustang. Famine and Pestilence. I have to click links for them to tell me exactly what they are. Famine has a black Escalade. Da 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 da. And Pestilence has a 72 AMC Hornet.
Ooh, nice.
Represents his green horse.
Well then.
And his license plate is SIKN space TRD. Sick and tired. I just learned something new. That's
fun.
cool.
I can see War driving a Mustang. That makes plenty of sense.
And it would be weird if War and Dean drove a Mustang. Come on. They planned this all ahead of time.
I think they just like Mustangs, it sounds like.
If you like the whole horseman using vehicle angle, though, I recommend a book called Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. And there's this whole thing with War driving a red motorcycle. It's a little bit different, but she picks up her own horseman. It's a fun read.
That book's
It's really
awesome.
good, and a lot of it takes place in a car. I can't remember.
It's a road trip story for sure.
It's funny because it's a demon who drives a car, and every song he listens to slowly becomes Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, it all turns into Queen songs. There's a shtick about it. And tying it into Supernatural, the demon's name is Crowley in Good Omens, and he's very reminiscent of Crowley on Supernatural as well.
There's even a bit in the book where, like, because you have to make glyphs and stuff in order to draw power, so he designed the highway to look like a glyph and that's why it's such a pain in the ass to drive, and it's all loops and stuff, is because it's like an ancient glyph from like an aerial view. So it's cool how they interpret cars into. Neil Gaiman's really good about writing about cars too. In the book American Gods, he writes really well about his cars.
For sure.
Which doesn't translate over to the show.
Yeah.
I think
Did you
we've
have any
covered
other episodes?
those were all the episodes that we watched and talked about. I did make a note of the from in the beginning where they mentioned the 327 4-barrel. When looking it up, the 327 actually had a really badass name from the factory. It was called the 327 Turbo Fire V8.
Oh snap! Turbo Fire.
Back in the 60s and 70s, the auto industry was really into making really cool names for engines. I kind of miss that these days.
I think the soda industry, the like snack industry, picked up on that in the 90s, where everything was like extreme and
Surge and stuff like
crazy
that.
Fiesta.
I have a can of Surge sitting right here.
Oh my gosh! Perfect.
I'm not drinking it, but it's here because remember the 90s?
Nice. But I think Dean Winchester again would agree with you on that point, that he probably likes the old names for the cars and stuff from back then as well.
All right, so we're getting close to kind of trivia time, so let's break it down to. We'll ask both of you each your favorite moment from the episodes that we all watched through.
Well, we already talked about Dean realizing he was conceived in the back seat. So what was your backup? I know we talked
My
about
backup
this.
was the moment that you showed the picture of Dean going back in time and helping his father decide to get the Impala. Probably, in Dean's opinion, the best decision he ever made. So I'm going to go with that.
I'm going to go with, I really like Swan Song, the whole confrontation between, it just speaks volumes about Dean and how he just wanted to die with his brother. Like, that was it. He didn't expect to save anybody, but him being beaten against Baby, like instead of a wall and being pinned up against, he was pinned against Baby. He had nowhere to go, and it just seemed like he would be at such peace if he did die there with his brother next to Baby. And it made me emotional the first time I watched it for like a cheesy like brother soap opera. Sammy.
And okay, so one more before I say my favorite, I forgot one more thing that I noted down from the French Mistake, where, like you guys said, it was a super meta episode, and they were talking about filming an episode of Supernatural, and they were talking about what scene to cut, and someone says, well, we could cut the scene where they sit on the Impala and talk about their feelings, and the response was, no, you answer the hate mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
the BM scene, the boy melodrama scene, I believe it was called.
I think that was talked about in Swan Song, where they would literally just sit on the car and like start like look at the. But I mean, that is a scene all the time. If you see Dean pull beer out of a cooler, like you know it's about to be bro time.
I'm sure he saw enough episodes of the show to definitely see that that's like a little theme they usually wrap up the episode with.
Me, my bro, my car.
Now, of course, my favorite moment, we talked about it. It's when he washes the car and then goes driving. Very next scene in the rain, turns around and says, "Of course." Like I said, every car guy's had that moment where he drives after freshly washing his car and it starts raining. Every time.
Well, especially later, because if you remember how Baby ends, the whole one side of the car is covered in blood. So it's like Dean's like effort. You can watch that episode on a loop and it'd be the same thing. Him just trying to wash the car, wasting time, getting blood all over. Dean's life.
All right, so let's go ahead and invite Billy in, and we can get started with trivia.
Down, brother.
In the meantime, Raul says you guys should have recommended the musical episode in season 10.
Yeah,
that's funny. It's a good one.
It just didn't have the actual. I mean, the car's in it, but their interpretation. You have to understand a whole bunch more going on. Then, because Chuck, who's narrating Swan Song, is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot of.
Sorry, Raul.
There's a lot of good Baby episodes. I couldn't pick all of them. Sorry.
I do not envy you guys' job to try and find episodes of the show that's going on for what it's going into its 13th season now.
Yes, with
Lucky
22
13.
episodes per season, so like very long seasons as well.
Which I sent you guys a GIF of my reaction to season jumping. It was just the blinking guy meme. That's kind of how it felt jumping around.
Yeah, that made us laugh.
Especially since last time on Supernatural, and you're like, what?
I'm already confused with all the Supernatural things. Now we're jumping over. Okay, now they're going back in time. What's going on here?
It's not the first time they go back in time either. Well, that's the first time. That's not the only time they go back in time. If I could turn back time, make my dad buy that car.
No share allowed.
Do you believe? Oh, well, that's funny. You know, Sonny and Cher broke up.
Oh. Wait, what? They broke up?
Talking about I thought Billy's coming. I guess Billy doesn't want to handle this trivia. He's probably.
I think he's scared. He's probably just taking a moment to collect himself.
That's what it is. I mean, if we need to grab this belt, John.
Oh, here he is.
There we go.
Here I am.
Billy.
Hey, Billy, buddy.
Hello, Tom, Kimber, and other Tom.
All right, welcome back. So we've got you with the high score of this season with 2 out of 5 questions. Hopefully we can do better today. I I've mentioned this with Tom and Kimber, but if you get all 5 questions correct, I will send the winner this season a little die-cast car. I haven't figured out what, but I will. There will be a prize available for someone who gets all 5 correct.
We like winning.
You get a car, and you get a car.
Yeah, that's what this bit should be. You get a car.
Look under your seats.
How did you?
All right, so we'll start with Tom and Kimber, because I think they're probably going to be able to get this one. So the question is, you guys alluded to it earlier, and I purposely kept my mouth shut on it. How many different license plates has Baby had throughout the history in the Winchester family?
It's all you, Tom.
So they had one up until 2005 and another one until 2010. I'm gonna say 5.
5 is correct.
Whoa!
And for a bonus, I actually didn't come up with this question to give credit where credit's due. My sister, being the nerd that she is, went back and sent me all the license plates and a few trivia questions. And if you get all of these correct, I will actually send you a card just for this. If you can name all the license plates.
I cannot. I can only cast
KAZ, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I know 3 of them are Kansas plates. Or are they all Kansas plates? I think. And then 2 of them are another 2 states. I don't know. I don't know the actual numbers though. Billy, do you know them?
Raul, do you know them in the chat?
Raul may or may not.
Raul knows the Spanish license plate.
No, stop.
You rolled the.
Oh man, oh wow, he got. Is that one of them? It is.
Did he get one?
No.
Raul wins.
But that's a good try. One of them was. You got close to the plate. Anyway, next up, Billy. So a very similar question. Have state license plates has Baby had?
How many state license plates has Baby had? I'm gonna guess 3.
Close. The answer was 2.
Tom was like, it's 2.
Ohio and Kansas. Ironically, 2 states that enforce front license plates, so that's incredibly odd. Okay.
Maybe that's why they like those states for it.
This is my trip-up question for Tom and Kimber next, because we're going to my question. The 1967 Chevrolet Impala had how many engine options?
I assume you start from the lowest and work your way up, right? So then that's a 137, a 237, 337, or 3, what is it? 327, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna say 4.
Pretty close. 5.
Is just 27 an engine?
No, that is.
Oh,
It,
okay.
it might be in that VW, but not in a normal car.
I was close. Like that. Well, we didn't get the car, babe.
Okay, now Billy, this one Tom and Kimber actually referred to earlier, so this is going to be the paying attention question. No one got hit with this earlier. What improvement does Sam make to the car while Dean was in hell that he immediately ripped out?
Oh God. Didn't he put a CD player in it? I feel like such an idiot.
No, he did not.
Tom's shaking his head because it's an iPod jack.
I knew he did something with the music though.
Close.
Yeah, close.
There was also an episode where Dean gets turned into a younger person and he listens to Taylor Swift.
That's true.
And then he ends up listening to Taylor Swift in the Impala, and it's really funny.
And then the end of the episode, Dean's just like, yeah, okay, and then he plays "Shake It Off" as they're going out.
Yeah, same one.
That would hurt my soul a little bit.
You don't like T-Swizzy?
Is that what they call it?
Sorry, that name made my brain hurt for a moment.
Okay. I'll be sure if you're coming to Chicago, I'll be sure to sing a bunch of Taylor Swift songs.
Don't threaten the man. He's trying to give you trivia questions. Give him the hard ones now.
These aren't hard enough.
No.
Sorry, Tom. These are good trivia questions, though.
They are.
They can get harder. All right, so Tom and Kimber, in Swan Song, what does Sam see in the car that allows him to overpower Lucifer?
The soldier in the side ashtray.
That is correct. You've now tied Billy for the highest score of the season so far.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna get 4 out of 5.
You're gonna get 4 out of 5.
Babe, we're trivia masters.
I'm just sitting here.
I'm just out for blood. It's Game of Thrones night.
That's
Winter is here.
No, don't say that, Billy. Winter is terrifying here. I don't want winter to be here.
It's not pretty here either.
All right, Billy. This should be an easier one. How many owners has Baby had?
I think it's just 2.
No.
Well, I'm only thinking of I know John and Dean, obviously, but I can't really think of any more. I mean, I'm sure there's been more, but yeah,
There has been exactly one more.
3.
Yeah, I was asking, are we counting?
Does Sam count?
Well,
yeah, because Sam had it for a while.
yeah, when he was possessed by Gadriel.
Or I guess just the Winchesters is good enough. Because there's the Winchesters, the car lot who sold it to the Winchesters, and the farmers before them. So that's 3.
Well, the car lot doesn't really count as an owner. I would say Dean and John would be different owners.
Wikipedia lists the guy who bought the car as a car owner. Damn you,
Yeah,
Wiki.
that's. I mean, when you it pops up in the Carfax that a dealer had it, but it doesn't. Carfax doesn't count it as an owner, therefore I'm not counting it as an owner.
I think you mean Car Fox.
That dude's adorable. Wasn't he a bad guy and now he's a good guy? Why do they keep doing that with mascots? There's a Cookie Crisp thing too.
Okay, so Billy, I'm going to give you kind of an off-the-wall question that I made up.
Okay.
So the Chevrolet Impala of that generation was built in several states, but also was assembled in one other country to avoid taxes. What country?
What country could it be? There's a couple of car countries I know, but to avoid taxes. I'm gonna guess Germany. I feel so humiliated right now.
Yeah, the answer is actually Australia, because taxes were so high, they actually basically sent the car over there in a kit. We've actually had to use similar tricks to get Australian cars to the U.S. So they just disassemble enough of the car or whatever to get it imported, and that avoided import tax by claiming that it's built in Australia.
That's interesting.
The more you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Orange, you
I'll
glad
save
he
this.
didn't ask you that?
Yeah, I didn't know what to.
Okay, I'll give you guys another somewhat possibly hard one.
All right.
So, Tom and Kimber, when and where was Baby built?
I mean, it was at the Chevy plant in Missouri. I don't have a town for you though. Does it start with an L?
No, it was
Is
apparently
it Missouri?
the date I was given from my sister, which is elaborate enough that she either made it up or I believe her, was Janesville, Wisconsin on April 24th, 1967.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2 days after the 100th car was put off the line. Or 1,000? One of those things. All right, well, I guess I'm not breaking the record.
Well, no, you still have one more question. You can still break it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
All right.
break Billy's record.
All right, Billy.
Yeah.
So this will be another paying attention question, because Tom alluded to it earlier. What is the primary car rule that Dean establishes in the pilot?
So the pilot. Well, there's been so many episodes since the pilot. This is gonna be hard.
Gotta know your roots, man.
Yeah, no kidding. And I also don't pay attention often, so that's biting my. That's coming back to bite me in the ass. What rule does he establish?
I know one.
It was also the title of your first mixtape to me.
Oh, damn. I think don't.
Stop believing.
It's either don't ride or don't drive, baby, or I know that's not it, but don't change the music, I guess.
Do you want me to say it?
Just say it. I'm gonna hang my head in shame.
You want me to give him the credit?
Music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Ah, God damn it! I should have known that. It's been.
You guys want me to give him credit for that? I'll let you guys decide.
No. I just need the shame bell. Just go ding shame.
Wrong show. That's
Yeah, I'm tying it in because it's coming back tonight, which I can't wait. But I should know. I've failed you, Raul. And Tom and Kimber.
You're not failing us. We're looking good.
I knew one, I guess.
Way to rub salt in the wound.
Okay.
That was my song.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the final question to ask Tom and Kimber here.
It's the final question.
Okay, let's see how good your memory is.
Oh.
How much did John pay for the car in 1973 at that used car dealership?
2,400 and something.
$70.
We talked about the weird numbers. It was $2,204.
I knew there was a 4 in the.
So close.
I almost wrote that down too for my notes, but I didn't because I'm like, he's not going to do that to me.
And the other car was 1860, right?
Yes, the Volkswagen was
that one.
1860.
Damn.
Okay,
Half
so
a point.
you guys finished with 2. That ties Billy. So,
We have to rematch.
but Billy, you're now at 2 out of 10 though, if we count totals.
Don't mention it, please.
So we have the best record, technically.
You.
So far.
Okay, Billy. So that pretty much wraps things up today. So, Billy, that was a very valiant effort calling in. I thank you for stepping up and jumping in on trivia. So, is there anything?
Hold on, I'd like to plug. No, you can just find me on Twitter at bbusterbill. All B's are capitalized. You can find me on Instagram, and I'm often just on Twitter and Instagram. I don't really use my Facebook anymore. And you can catch me guest calling on Oddshaped Panel with Tom and Kimber. And I support everybody's shows. So, yeah, if you ever just want to talk, then just hit me up, and I'd be happy to talk.
All right, Tom and Kimber, anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, Billy's not just on Oddshaped Panel. He's on pretty much all of our shows. We did an American Gods recap. We're currently starting, we started last week, a Night's Watch Game of Thrones recap hosted
Season
by
2.
Cal. This is season. I don't know.
Our
if that
second
counts.
year doing a Night's Watch.
And we also are doing a Twin Peaks recap. So if any of those show interest you, or if you're like, oh, we just talk about random subjects here and there. Like tomorrow night we have a Q&A and recent news. We're going to talk about Shia LaBeouf and
other things. Also, I was telling Tom before the show that I'm probably the only person who's been on Cars and Popcorn and who might be on Cars and Popcorn who doesn't know how to drive a car. So I wanted to put that out there when I was on. But you can tweet me at Kimberbatch_OSP or both of us at Oddshaped Panel. You could check us out on oddshapedchannel.com. And of course, our YouTube channel, Oddshaped Channel.
We are literally 2 subscribers away from getting that sweet YouTube URL.
Help us out.
Help us out. And then we can be youtube.com/Oddshaped channel. Come on. That's just so much easier.
So yes, if anyone's not subscribed, absolutely do that. That'd be awesome to get them an URL.
But sub to this one first. By no means take your sub and give it to us.
Yeah, also, you can catch me next season. We are on hiatus with fan fiction on the Tough channel, but I am the defending champ, so you will be able to see me fighting there to hopefully try and keep this belt as long as I can. So shout out to Tough channel and fan fiction.
Be like John Wick.
And that's gonna be an exciting season. I hope to be back. So thank you guys once again for calling in, talking about Supernatural, and introducing me to a few of these episodes. It was really fun to do this.
Yeah, I hope you watch more and we can keep talking about it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. Really fun show.
All right, thanks everybody. Everybody have a good rest of your day and enjoy Game of Thrones. I will not be partaking, but have fun and catch Oddshaped Panel tomorrow at 9 p.m. Tom?
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.